Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new racing podcast. This is 500 Miles with your host Adam Relkin right here. Unfortunately, our intended co-host Brody Wojcik is not able to join us tonight, and my backup host unfortunately isn't going to be able to join us either. But we still have a lot to talk about. I wish the best to both that of my co-hosts that unfortunately could not join me tonight, and I do apologize for that. But so unfortunately tonight I'm going to be going solo here. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I am I am a college student with a major in communications, and I wanted to do this podcast because I wanted to do this podcast to show how much I care about racing, and also to show what I really can do when it comes to talking on air and such. So in terms of topics, our first thing to go about is that we just had the NASCAR All-Star Race just occur. The All-Star Race just happened quite recently, back on Sunday. In that race, it was a really fun one. I mean, we had we had a lot of really big lead changes. About there were there were a lot of lead changes. We had about we had about over 20 cars in the field. So how it worked was we had 38 enter, but because of All-Star Race rules, uh, there were those who were guaranteed in. We had about 23, I want to say, start, and in the open that was won by Carson Hocevar, John Hunter Nemechek, your your fan vote winner for the third year in a row that went to Noah Gragson. So Noah Gragson pulled that off. So in terms of some of these other things that that happened with that, we actually had uh sorry, just give me a second to think. There were about I remember when the green flag dropped, Brad Keselowski was on the pole. I know that. And then over time, Joey Logano was trying to battle for the lead. Couldn't quite get around him, but he was doing the best he could. And eventually he was able to get to stick. I remember this was a really fun all-star race, and it really showed because that all-star race was really fun to watch. And I don't know why people on the internet are complaining about it. I just I don't get why people on the internet are complaining about this all-star race. Like, this was a really good one. You had so much going on throughout the field, and it just was really fun to watch in general. We had about like as I said, we had a really big field. Well, not a big field. We had a really strong field of all stars. And I remember watching it. I mean, there were definitely some things that just kind of were really fun to get through. I mean, I think it was. I remember going forward. I forget what happened at the beginning, but something happened at the beginning. I mean, I think it was Austin. Not Austin. I think someone had an issue early on, but I don't quite remember. So if we go towards the All-Star Race finishing results, like there were a lot that there were. So Christopher Bell, he picked up the victory. Bell picked up the victory, and then Joey Logano came in second. He led the most laps. And I mean, I want to go back to kind of what Logano actually said post race here, where all of a sudden Joey was saying wasn't really the biggest fan of gimmicks, but yet he kind of, I don't know what he's kind of trying to say there, because he's won the title three times, and the playoffs in some ways could be considered a gimmick. So I don't really know, Joey. I mean, I love you, but I that definitely is definitely definitely a an eyebrow raiser. So like it really was something that I kind of was like, I don't know what you're talking about for a minute because you kind of have benefited from things like you have benefited from things like this. So are you really the one that should be talking? And then you had, as I said, Christopher Bell. I mean, he battled so hard. He was the fast. I think besides Logano, like the two of them, they were the best cars on track. The two of them, Joey and Bell, they were the best cars on track. I remember there was also some other calamity, like Ross Chastain and Austin Cindric had an incident. Uh, Daniel Suarez, I remember he had an issue too. I think, and then Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson. I mean, this was a really fun All Star race. And then like as I said, I mean, Brad. I mean, I just feel bad for Brad Keselowski because Brad Keselowski's had a season of hell, and it's not really been getting much better. Like it's it's like at Kansas, he was running in second, finally had a shot to go for the win. He hasn't even finished top 10 this year. I think he's like 34th in points, that far low. Gets in the wall. And this time, I mean, after he led for a good while to start the All Star race, ends up, I think he hit the wall and ended up falling out of the race later on. One of the biggest points of concern surrounding this race was definitely the fun flag or not fun flag, the promoter's caution. I call it the fun flag because that's what they called it over in that's what they called it over in that's what they called it over in SRX when that was a thing when Tony Stewart owned that. So a lot was going on with that. I mean, if I remember some of my if I remember some of my other notes, like that thing was that was really weird, and it was really funny as well seeing Michael Waltrip drop the yellow flag because they were hyping him up to throw it, but he drops it. He ended up dropping it instead of throwing the caution and waving the flag. Like he's there and he's trying to wave it and then he drops it. So like there ended up being a valid reason for a caution instead of Marcus Smith deciding to throw the caution. So the promoter's caution that came around lap 100 to lap 220. That's when it was allowed to be thrown. They threw it. I want to say lap 216. I could be wrong, but that was what happened there. Uh, I remember there was also some beef. I want to touch on some of the beef that happened in the Open. In the All Star Open, there was some beef between Ty Dillon and Zane Smith where I don't know. I mean, I think they made contact towards the end, like after, like sometime in the second half of the All Star Open, and Ty Dillon. I haven't really seen this in him. He said in an interview on Front Stretch where he's like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of Zane Smith or something, and then Zane Smith's like fired back and said, I'm not doing that at all. I mean, definitely tells you something's going on between the two of them, but I don't know exactly what's going on there. Definitely was something. So we also look at so when we also look at some of the other things that happened, I mean, I also want to take a look into the Truck Series race, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We had about 34 trucks start. There was one that withdrew, which was the 90 of Justin Carroll. Qualifying got rained out. Corey Heim ended up starting on the pole alongside Kyle Busch, who was leaching in this race, stepping down into the Truck Series for one of his 5 scheduled starts. And then I remember in that one, I kind of took a bit to get going, but I remember also you had things happen I remember towards the end of the race, Chandler Smith, he was getting up there with Corey Heim, and then Chandler he piles into him right as they're about to get to 5 laps to go. And then after that, like there's a big wreck behind that. I want to really give a big shout out to Brent Cruz. Brent Cruz, that rookie, that rookie in his debut, he was running fifth before before that last caution came out, and unfortunately, that caution was for him. He was running in fifth. I think he got wrecked by like Ben Rhodes, I think it was. Yeah, it was Ben Rhodes, and then Stuart Friesen also piled on in after. And like, also really want to shout out Gio Ruggiero, the rookie from Massachusetts. He was able to get up there. He ended up scoring in, I don't remember where he finished, but I remember he won the first stage. So that was something that really was awesome to see because he's been doing great in that second truck. Like he's been doing great in that second truck, and that cannot be denied at all. So he ended up finishing seventh. But I remember going into it, he was really showing a lot of speed to start. And then Corey Heim, I mean, Corey Heim, he's the best driver in the truck series by far. He's been getting screwed lately in these races, and I feel really bad because I know Heim really knows how to get things done, and unfortunately things were just falling apart. Like Heim just I don't know. I mean he's only gotten like two wins this year, but yet he's led over 2,000 laps. Like he's one of only like 20 something drivers to actually lead over 200 laps. So that frustrates me a lot because he deserves so much better than that. And like and I'm like how like what's going to help? I mean, but yeah, Chandler Smith, that last caution, he punts Heim out of the way. The caution comes out, as I mentioned, for Brent Cruz, by the way. He's, I think, NASCAR's number two prospect. I think he's actually the second. If there was like, if NASCAR themselves had like power rankings for their prospects, he'd be number two. He's that good. Connor Zill should be number one, obviously. And speaking of Connor Zilch, he's actually been cleared to return for the Coca-Cola 600, and this is going to be his second Cup Series start. I am really curious how he's going to be able to do on an oval. So like Zilish is really someone that I really believe can be a future Cup champion. He's going to be up there with some of the greats as long as things keep up for him, and he really has shown it. And for Zilish, I think that what's going on is I just hope he doesn't get rushed because I know there have been talks about him potentially replacing Daniel Suarez, replacing Shane Van Gisbergen. Like, I don't want that to happen yet. I mean, I like Trackhouse. I don't want you to rush him. I really think that when it comes down to this, you can't mess this up. This is NASCAR's number one prospect in my eyes. This you cannot rush him. And I was watching over on another podcast. It was big seeing them talk that maybe SVG could be out of the running instead of Daniel Suarez. And I mean, I don't think either should go for Zilish yet because Connor Zilish cannot be rushed. If you mess up your number one prospect in the sport, that is not that is not a good that's not going to end well. Like I really don't think Zilish is ready for Cup yet, in my opinion. So we also get into some other things surrounding that. I mean, and Zilish is currently competing full time in the Xfinity Series. I am very happy that and fortunate that he has been cleared to return for this week. He unfortunately missed Texas. Kyle Larson ended up filling in and he dominated that race. So that happened then. And then we had some other stuff too that came up. So on that last restart, it was a battle between Layne Riggs, who was running in second, and Corey Heim. And Heim ended up, and Heim, he was trying to hold on, but Layne Riggs did about the same thing he did back at Kansas. We ran him up the racetrack, and unfortunately, excuse me, unfortunately, into the wall Heim went, or almost went, and he ended up spinning out, unfortunately. And I don't remember if anyone else got collected, but Chandler Smith ended up taking the lead. Layne Riggs then tried to hit him again after that, and I don't know what he was trying to do because that's his teammate. Chandler Smith is his teammate. Chandler Smith ended up going on to win his second race of the Truck Series schedule. Uh, he previously won at Bristol a few weeks ago. So that ended up happening. And it just, and I mean, if you look at some of the results, I mean, big shout out as well to Caden Honeycutt. I mean, he's been putting up some really great results this year. I am really happy with how he's been running. Like it really, like it really shows his stuff, and it, and I really hope that he continues to. And he's one of the guys that I really want to see get a win. I want, I want Caden Honeycutt to get a win this year, and I think he's got a really good shot at it. So then we look at some of the other things from that race. Derek White, he's been gone from NASCAR since 2016. He made a comeback. Unfortunately, he dropped out of the race early. Norm Benning, he also returned for this race, another fan favorite of the sport. I mean, Ryan Roulette, the '67 truck, they entered again. I mean, there were a lot of interesting entries. So the All Star race was definitely fun to watch. I mean, I personally though feel they definitely overemphasized and overly promoted the whole promoter's caution because they had fireworks going off when they threw the yellow. It's as if they kind of planned it and all, but like I just think that the way they were like talking about it on air, like I remember Mike Joy was like saying, "This race is kind of boring right now. Let's get a little yell," or something. He was saying something like that. I just, as much as it ended up making the end of the race better. I just think that it kind of was it was overdone, if you know what I mean. I feel it was kind of a little overdone, but it did end up making the race better. I just think that it's something that will be looked into going. It's something that I hope they don't do for the All Star race next year, but we'll see what happens. There's also been a lot of talk about the possibility of North Wilkesboro, where this was held, getting a points race. And honestly, my answer to that is going to be a 100% unanimous yes. You know why? I think that these cars are going to race a lot better with more on the track. Like, I mean, the All Star race has held. I mean, this track has held up. This track, which shut down originally in 1996, came back 2023. New events usually fall off after a bit, but this event has not fallen off. We had a sellout crowd. There was a sellout crowd at North Wilkesboro this past weekend on Sunday. So that really shows that people are coming to this race, and the demand is definitely there to see over 36 cup cars. There's also talk about the Xfinity guys, like people like I've seen driver Jeb Burton, for example, in the Xfinity series. He said he wants this to become a points race. I think it would actually be I like he wants Xfinity to go there. I think it would be interesting, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to fit that in there because I mean they have all the other series is running there. Like they got the Wheel and Modified Tour. That was definitely a race. They also had the Cars Tour go there. Like there was a lot that was going on, and it definitely was something that, yeah, both of those races were definitely something. So I didn't really get a chance to watch the entire Cars Tour race, but they were wrecking pretty early on. I mean, that was definitely something because there were two big wrecks at the beginning, and that kind of goes into something else I wanted to discuss, and this is about comments that Josh Berry made uh, regarding like that he made. I think I want to say on Friday. He may have made these on Thursday. So Josh Berry, he basically, so he was asked about the TV deal with because Cars Tour was getting their first ever race on Fox Sports One, and Josh Berry, he basically said that he basically was trying to say something that the Cars Tour basically puts on a better show than horrible ARCA. Like that's basically what he was kind of trying to say. And when that happened, like I felt it to me, it just felt really disrespectful. I mean, I know the ARCA races aren't really the best, but but that just doesn't really look good to him because like I just think that's disrespectful in my opinion because the way he worded that was really bad. I mean, I just feel that in today's day and age, why are we trying to bring people down? Like why are we trying to bring races why are we trying to bring other series down when you can only help them? I mean, I don't understand it because there is a lot that I it's frustrating because there's a lot of these guys in ARCA that work so hard and they don't get, and it seems like that all the guys in the cars, it just seems like they're just being put aside because I know there's a big deficit in competition, which is probably why he suggested the races were horrible. But if you kill it, these guys don't really have the chance that they want to race on national television. So like I just feel like that the way Barry worded things went pretty badly. So like, and it's just, and there were a lot of people who rightfully took issue with it. I mean, and this isn't the first time we've seen someone in the Cup Series kind of poke at Arca. Kyle Busch, for example, was asked about Brexton Busch, about his son, if he was going to race, if he was going to have him run Arca, and Kyle said, "No, I'm not gonna." He was basically like, "No, I'm not gonna have him waste his time," and he then reaffirmed this over on Extras Detrimental. When it comes down to things like this, it's something that it's something interesting. I mean, we have had drivers skip ARCA and go straight to trucks or Xfinity. That has happened. But now just because NASCAR owns it, and I don't know if NASCAR is going to do this, but Kyle, I mean, but just something to think about. What's going to happen? I mean, I doubt this would happen, but just in case, what happens if NASCAR says he's not ready for trucks yet or Xfinity yet? Like, are you going to have to make? Are you going to like? And they say you have to run ARCA to get approved. Like, if that happens, that's going to really, I don't want to say backfire, but he may have to do some races. Like we've seen some guys moving up do a race or two so that they could get approval. So like I know that it's not the best series to run in, but there's more variety on the table. Like Cars Tour is only short tracks. And I am not throwing any shade at the Cars Tour. The Cars Tour is a fun series as well. I really enjoy it. I mean, there's a lot of great drivers that I've really enjoyed seeing there, like and a bunch of great ones that have come up from there, like Butterbean, Brendan Queen goes to Waffle House after every win. I mean, I really appreciate things like that. And it just, I think what also happened with not Butterbean, and I think when it comes to the Cars Tour, it's just that it's something that you can't really compare. And I feel like that's also something that Barry kind of went wrong with, if you know what I mean. I feel he kind of went a bit wrong because under those circumstances, he's basically saying this series should not be on TV. Well, what happens to all the lower budget guys that are on TV, like Alex Clubb, Michael Maples, Brad Smith, Andy Hillenberg? Like these guys aren't going to get the same exposure. These guys aren't going to get the same exposure as they would being on a without TV. Like the series would really crumble even further if ARCA wasn't being broadcasted on TV. So it's just something that I just kind of feel was taken a bit wrongly. And there were two really big wrecks at the beginning, and then the wheel and modified race. That was kind of hard to watch because they were wrecking like so much. There were, I want to say, 11 cautions in 150 laps. And at one point, I think the PA announcer at North Wilkesboro said that the average speed was only around 53 miles an hour, which is pretty embarrassing. So because of all the caution laps and such. So that happens. I mean, I do hope that the racing etiquette can improve there. I mean, I don't know what happened because the modified tour is usually not like this, but they were wrecking very constantly. And I mean, big shout out though to Craig Lutz on the win because he hasn't won in 3 years. I'm really glad that he was able to pick up the win because he's been fighting pretty hard for a win. I remember back at Riverhead, I was at Riverhead. He was leading for a bit too last year. Couldn't quite get back to the lead after Ron Silk took it, but it's something that I really was enjoying see happen. So when that happened, that happened. Craig Lutz, but yeah, Craig Lutz, I'm really happy he won. He was able to hold off Luke Baldwin, who came in second. Justin Bonsignor, the defending champion of the series, he ended up coming home in third. And I mean, there were a lot of other notable names in that field. Corey LaJoy was in that race. Ryan Newman was in the race. Bobby Labonte. Unfortunately, Labonte blew an engine early on. So, if we take a look at some of the finishing results, there was a lot definitely at stake. But, I'm going to get back to what I was talking about with the truck series for a second. So, when it comes to the truck series finish, there was also some beef between Layne Riggs and Corey Heim, as mentioned earlier. There was also a bit of a confrontation on pit road. And I wasn't sure what Heim really was doing because he walked the wrong way. Riggs was parked all the way back. He was parked all the way back at the beginning of his stall. At the beginning of pit road, and he's going there, and then that made things a bit, kind of made things, made things a bit longer because they're showing the cameras. Unfortunately, but yeah, the talk they had there wasn't really that long, but it definitely was interesting to see go down. And I hope the two of them can get things worked out, but I remember both really had some words for each other during that conversation. So it definitely was something that I definitely had to keep an eye on. So in terms of some of the other things going on, I also want to delve into the IndyCar side of things. And boy, there's a lot going on over there as well. Because when it comes to that, we have the Indy 500. We had Indy 500 qualifying this past weekend, and also some refreshers. I believe Tony Kanaan completed his refresher in case Kyle Larson cannot run the Indy 500, as Tony Kanaan is the reserve driver for Larson. Robert Schwartzman won the pole, and he is a rookie. He is the first ever rookie to win the Indianapolis 500 pole since 1983. Put that into perspective. Robert was not even alive the last time that happened. I wasn't even alive. But that is incredible. And I don't even know the last time a new team did this. Like, when's the last time a new team, along with Schwartzman, because it was a new team as well, won the pole for the Indianapolis 500? I can't remember when a new team won the pole, but that was awesome to see happen, and I'm really happy for Prema when that ended up happening. Additionally, we also had Takuma Sato qualifying second, and this is a little stat I'm going to point out. If either Takuma Sato or Helio Castroneves win the Indy 500, they will be the oldest to ever win the race. Al Unser currently holds that record of age 47 back in 1987. Takuma is 48, Helio is 50. If either of them win, they break that record. And I would definitely enjoy seeing that. So Takuma, and I really got to shout out Takuma because that car he was in was built only a week ago. That car was literally put together only a week ago. And for him to bring it all the way up there on the front row is incredible. I really got to shout him out. We also had, there was also Pato Award, finishing in third. I'm qualifying third, excuse me. One of the biggest things, though, one of the biggest things though that came up was over the IndyCar was within IndyCar was over Team Penske. So I definitely want to get into this because this is a really big topic, and it appears that it has impacted past races as well. So it's pretty concerning to me. So basically, Team Roger Penske owns the track, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the entire series, IndyCar as a whole. So I remember, like, I when I saw a few days ago that the 2 and the 12 were penalized and failed post qualifying tech, I was like, yikes, because that is a really bad look. Because again, think of it this way. You own a series and you're competing in it. Just think of how unethical it can be if you're cheating in the series you own to win your own thing. Think about it. I just think that it's really unethical. So what happened was had both teams were caught, and this isn't the first time that Roger Penske has done this. They were caught last year, early in the year. So what happened was the modification was a it was a I'm sorry. They but yeah, they had rear attenuator modifications. The rear attenuator modifications were meant to give a more fair aero advantage, but they went above the allowed limit. And it's just something that's just really a bad look. So, because of the penalties, both cars, the the two driven by Joseph Newgarden and Will Power, they will both be they will both be pushed to 32nd and 33rd on the grid from where they had originally qualified. So when that happened, and this is something that also really is not a good look either. Some people, so as we remember, as some most people know, Joseph Newgarden won the last two Indy 500s. The Indy 500 winning car from last year, with Newgarden won in, is on display in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. And you know what people noticed? They noticed the exact same modifications. So that is really concerning. And and I know it's been a year, you probably can't strip a win from a year ago, but that's something that definitely should be raising eyebrows. And as a matter of fact, I think I saw today that on the Scott Mc on I think I saw today as well that I think at Road America on the Scott McLaughlin machine from last year when it wrecked out, someone noticed that they were making the modifications on even non-oval setup cars. Like IndyCar, like it's something that just also should be raising eyebrows because again, the man who owns the series also owns a team, and that team is cheating. It's just again, it's frustrating, and all the other team owners I feel have every right to be frustrated. The Indianapolis 500 is one of the most watched motorsports events of the year. Just and it has to be, and because of that, it has to be played and raced fairly. And and I also just want to say again, I feel pretty bad for Jacob Abel because in my opinion, I think one of the Penske cars should actually be DNQ'd. I think they actually should be DNQ'd. And Jacob Abel should be in the show. I know he was the slowest car, and he ended up missing the race. He was the only guy who missed the race, but I think that honestly, he should be in the field now. He should be racing on next Sunday. Just my opinion. It's definitely a very complicated discussion to have. But I personally think that not Alex, he should actually, he should actually be, yeah. So like, I also want to get into some of the things coming up as well, such as entry lists for, such as some of the entry lists for the coming week end in Charlotte. Another thing to just note is that it's going to be on Prime, the first ever NASCAR Cup Series race televised on exclusively streaming. The first ever NASCAR Cup Series race televised exclusively on streaming. So Amazon. So when it comes to this, think about this. Think about the numbers for a second. I know people. I know a lot of people within out there are like, this is not going to be good. Well, think about this for a second. Look at how many people today own own streaming, have subscriptions to streaming than cable. Based off of recent stats I've read through, over, over half of the country owns Amazon Prime. I know Netflix is more watched than Prime, same with, and I know that Prime is not as popular as Netflix, but that's for another day. But Amazon Prime, by almost three times, has more people subscribed than people subscribe to cable now. I want to say a little less than 70 million people are using have cable now, and that's been dropping drastically. By the end of this TV deal, how many people are going to even have cable? It's not going to be that many, I don't think, because everyone's going to streaming platforms instead, it seems like. So I don't think that having five races on streaming is a bad thing, like people are trying to make it seem like. And Amazon Prime recently and they've been talking about how they are not going to have any full screen commercials. They are going to have side by side commercials like Fox and NBC occasionally do. But this is, but think about it. I mean, Amazon is also really is really starting to go in on what they're going to be showing. And I'm glad they are. Like, they've been putting in a lot of promotions and ads for the races, like with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and John Fogerty, like a lot of other guys. And I mean, I'm excited for the broadcast as well because they seem to really care about this. I mean, you got a booth with Adam Alexander, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Steve Letarte, and a bunch of other guys. Carl Edwards, he's part of the broadcast team as well. Corey LaJoy, like a lot of big names in the broadcasting scene that a lot of names in the broadcasting scene that I really think will be a great match. So yeah, it's really something that that we should be looking forward to. So as I was saying, as I was saying, Prime we had Prime coming up. We also have the entry lists that were released for the upcoming races. So I'm gonna work my way up from I'm gonna work my way up from ARCA all the way up to Cup. And you know what? I should also probably talk about the ARCA East race at Flat Rock. I know the car counts weren't really that good, but it wasn't. But I wasn't really. But it wasn't really the worst race ever. There were only about there were only about I want to say 15 cars, which is unfortunate. And I mean, I really wish they would get those car counts, but the racing itself wasn't really the worst thing ever. I remember though, I was really excited. seeing some of the smaller teams really work their way up, though. Like, for example, Takuma Koga, he ended up finishing third and for fast track racing. And Takuma, that was an awesome drive. Like, seriously. That was the best race he's ever run. He came home in third, and he was faster than both the 23 and the 18, which were by far the fastest cars on, by far like the best in equipment. Takuma was faster than both of them. I was amazed, and I was really happy to see that. He ended up finishing in third. I mean, it was really hard to pass. I mean, Tyler Reif was up on Max Reeves, and unfortunately couldn't quite get the pass done. But I was really happy to see to see Takuma run really well. Matt Kemp as well. He actually almost won the pole driving for Fast Track as well. And Kemp, I mean, he's from Michigan as well. So that was really awesome. That was really awesome to see happen. So I'm really happy about that. And then we also delve into some of the other things from there. Like Austin Vaughn, he, for example, led practice. Like I quite enjoyed that as well. I mean, I mean that's a startup team as well, VWV Racing. Like that's a brand new team to the E Series, and I just was really happy to see those guys and manage to lead practice. And then we also get into and then there were a few other there were a bunch of other names that were having some good runs. I remember Jeffrey McSink was having to go around. Unfortunately, had some mechanical issues come up, and there were a lot of like it was pretty fun just seeing some of these guys try to work their way up. But unfortunately, things just kind of didn't really go the best for some of them. So now I will get into the entry lists. So we go through. So for ARCA, they got 31 cars. That is the same as last year's race. As that were, I think. No. They had 29 last year start. So notably on the so with some of the notables on the entry list, we got Tony Cosentino, Mike Basham, Matt Kemp. They are all in three of the Fast Track cars. There is one car that is currently TBA. There's also Spencer Gallagher. He's back again. William Sawalich. This is his last start in the main division of ARCA for this year. I believe he is running some road races out in the West Series, but we'll get into that later. Tim Richmond, he also returns in the number 27 for Empire Racing. One of the biggest names on the entry list has got to be Cletus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell. I I'm really happy to see that he's planning to pursue racing much further. And I'm really happy about it because Cletus, I know some people out there have said that they don't really like him, but think about it. Like this guy cares so much about racing, and he cares so much about people as a whole. Cletus, I remember he did so much to help people amidst Hurricane Helene. Like he was flying in his helicopter. Same with Greg Biffle as well, and helping people evacuate. Like how can people not appreciate someone who does something like that to help others? And with Cletus, I mean, I wish him the best. I mean, he's run Daytona, Talladega. I think he's going to run a few more after. I know he's going to be running Bristol, and then I know he's also running this. Some of the other notable entrants like Rick Goodell, Ryan Huff, Andrew Patterson, Brian Doza, and listed in the 57 from Louisiana. Although like that was originally supposed to be Hunter Dishatel, but driver change there. Ryan Roulette also entered. Will Kimmel, Andy J. Kowiak. Like bit of a change with the CR7 Motorsports Brigade. Jason Kitzmiller, who's scheduled to race full time in the 97, is now entered in their second car, the 79, and Truck Series veteran Grant Enfinger is entered in the 97 for them. So Grant ran this race for them back in 2023, so I'm curious if he's going to be able, what he's going to be able to do this time. Some of the other entrants, we also got Austin Green in a second Pinnacle Racing car, uh, and also Casey Carden, who's making his first start of the year in the second Club Racing car. There's also the Scotfield Motorsports team with Jeff Scotfield in the '07. So for this one, I'm thinking, I'm thinking Grant Enfinger could actually win this. I mean, maybe, but there's still guys that definitely can put on a challenge there. Like I'm personally going to predict Grant Enfinger to win, but it's possible that we definitely could have some other guys play a role. So I also want to delve into the NASCAR to the Truck Series entry list. So for the trucks, they have there are 34 entrants, which unfortunately this year there's only been one race where they've even had a full field, which was Daytona. And Charlotte usually draws in trucks, so pretty upsetting and it's kind of sad because I really want the trucks to succeed to have full fields, but I know it's not the easiest to, unfortunately, because the payouts aren't really the best. So, amongst some of the entrants, amongst some of the entrants, BJ McLeod in the '07 truck. That is a big one. And I really am curious to see what BJ McLeod can do in top equipment. I'm excited for that. And I really hope he runs well because BJ McLeod, he's been an independent driver for his own team for a while. He's run for some other lower budget teams, but this is his first opportunity to show what he could do for a big team. So I'm really happy to see this happen, and I really hope BJ can put on a great run. Kyle Busch also running again this week in the trucks. Brandon Jones. This is, I believe, his sixth start this year. He has one more after this, I'm pretty sure. Cody Dennison also back in the two truck again. Stephen Parsons, he had a really great run in the 20 back at Texas, but now he's entered in the '02. We'll see how he does there. I hope he can put on another great run. Uh, some of the other, we also have Mason Maggio in the 22. Uh, there's also Ross Chastain. He's also pulling double duty this week. He's in the 44 truck for Nice Motorsports. Luke Fenhouse also back in the 66 truck. Timmy Hill, this is his 500th NASCAR start. So I really hope this can end well for him. And I'm pretty sure that this race is, oh yeah, the little 500. Yeah, I see the comment there. The little 500. I've heard of that as well. Uh, so that's something that is also coming up. I forget which track it's being run at, but I do remember people talking about it. There's also but yeah, back to what I was saying. Timmy Hill. Timmy has scaled back this year in trucks. He's only running part time, but unfortunately, he ended up attempting the ARCA E schedule. He only had one car for it, and that car sadly got destroyed back at Rockingham. So unfortunately he's no longer full time in any series as a result. I don't know when Timmy's going to be back in ARCA or not, but he is running the truck race this weekend, thankfully, and we'll see how that goes. Some of the other notable different entrants: Parker Kligerman back. He's back in the 75 truck for Henderson Motorsports, and there's also Justin Carroll, the 90 truck. Let's hope that they're going to be able to run this time. I know they withdrew from North Wilkesboro. Hopefully, they'll be able to make the trip this time. So that's something to put into consideration. The Xfinity, then for the Xfinity guys, they have 40 cars entered for 38 spots. So we will have two DNQs for the Xfinity race. Some of the if qualifying gets rained out, there will the 3 and the 74 will be sent home. The I'm pretty sure being renumbered from the 33 this week, but I'm not 100% sure if the owner points are going to carry over as part of that. But Austin Dillon is pulling double duty in the number 3 in Xfinity as well. Some of the other differences in the entry list: Nick Lights back in the '07. I was also going to point out that we have a few crew chief changes, and this also happens to be in the Truck Series. Jason Miller, who was the crew chief for the number 14 of Garrett Smithley. He's been with SS Greenlight, Bobby Darter's Xfinity team, for a really long time. He has left. He is not list. Well, he is not listed right now as the crew chief of the number 14. I don't know the full story on it, but now he's listed as the crew chief on the number 02 truck, which is being, as we mentioned earlier, is being driven by Stephen Parsons this week. So that's something that, and that's a big surprise because Jason Miller has been with SS Greenlight for a really long time. So I don't know what happened. But yeah, Garrett Smithley now has Robbie Freeman listed as crew chief. Also, we have a crew chief change. We also have another crew chief change in Xfinity. Wayne Carroll Jr., who was the crew chief for the number 28 of Kyle Sieg, has moved to the number 45 of Alpha Prime Racing, which this week is being driven by Brad Perez. So another big crew chief. There's currently no crew chief listed for the 28, but I am curious who they will have in that car. William Byron also is listed in the 17 for another Xfinity start. Chase Briscoe, this is his only Xfinity start of the year in the 19. Some of the other notables: Catherine Legg in the 32. I hope she has a great run. I hope she can have a great run. I know she was doing okay at Texas and got caught up in a wreck that was not her fault at all. Carson Ware also in the 35. The 53 is currently listed as TBA, but that might be Mason Maggio. I am not 100% sure. Greg Van Alst was supposed to be in the 35. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. This was a race that was scheduled for him in that number 35 car. I don't know what happened. Something had to have happened. So Leland Honeyman Jr. also in the 70 again. The 74, Mike Harmon Racing, they're back. They are trying very hard to make this race. They have unfortunately had, I want to say, a D&Q streak of about 6, something like that. I hope they can make the field again. CJ McLaughlin also in the 91, and he's got a former Cup Series crew chief, Steve Addington, on the pit box with him. Steve Addington used to be a crew chief for Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, like Clint Boyer, like a lot of big names from the Cup Series that you would recognize. He is on the pit box for CJ this week, and he has been with him for some time as well. So some of the other things that I want to kind of get into, there's a few other things we could definitely get into. The Cup, for the Cup side of things, we also have the first full field, and there's a lot of really great paint schemes. Like, I'm not going to show any on stream, but there's a lot of great paint schemes that came up, and I'm really happy about about a bunch of them all, because a lot of them look beautiful this coming weekend for Memorial Day weekend. Like, and I know also in the Cup Series, as I mentioned, we have the first full field since the Daytona 500. So amongst the open entries, we have, as I mentioned, the 87 of Connor Zilish, the 66 of Josh Bilicki, the 44, which is going to be driven by Derek Kraus. This is going to be his first Cup start since Phoenix last year, the finale. And I'm forgetting the last one. I think it's Jimmy Johnson. I don't know why I'm forgetting that one. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, going to be his 700th start in the NASCAR Cup Series. So that's definitely something that's going to be a big story this weekend. So I'm hoping the best for Jimmy Johnson. I really hope that he can have a great run because he ended up finishing third at the Daytona 500 this year and hasn't run since. But Jimmy, I know his last few starts since he came back to run part time haven't been the best, so he really needed that third place run in the 500, and I hope that this Coke 6. I hope it's not his last start. I think Jimmy said he may run like one or two later in the year, depending on sponsorship. I think he does also want to run again next year. We'll just have to see what happens, but I hope that this is not going to be the end for Jimmy. But we'll see what happens. So, like I mentioned it, I was going to talk about it as well. Like, there's also there was also today there was also the NASCAR Hall of Fame induction, and there were some very there were some very very deserving picks for that. So they started off they started off with they started off with Humpy Wheeler received receiving the landmark award, I think it was. And Humpy Wheeler, he deserves it. I don't even know why he was not even on the ballot until this year. But Humpy, he was probably got to be one of the greatest race promoters we have ever seen in the sport. He probably has to be. I mean, with everything he's put together at Charlotte Motor Speedway, like he's got to be one of the best we've ever had. And then in addition what's in addition we also had sorry, I'm just thinking. We also had um for the Pioneer era ballot, there was also Ray Hendrick. Ray Hendrick, who is estimated to win over 700 modified races in his heyday. He absolutely deserves that award, and I really hope that he ends up, and I just really hope that he ends up us, and I just really hope that more guys from there end up getting that recognition. And then we also had the two modern era ballot picks, which Harry Gant and Kurt Busch, and both are definitely deserving of being inducted. I personally though I personally wanted Harry Hyde in over Harry Gant just because of how much work Harry Hyde put in as crew chief, but Harry Gant, he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He was loved by so many fans. I mean, he's called Mr. September for a reason. I just really I was really happy about that. So then we also got in so that was basically what happened there. There was also so that was what happened there. Kurt Busch absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well. He won a cup championship. What else can you ask for? What else can you ask for? Like he won a cup title. I don't really see the reason why he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. There were some other yeah, I do kind of wish that we did. I kind of feel like though, just so that we can get people in from the lower series, I just kind of want to see like I want to kind of see other guys get recognized. So like I'm gonna make a proposal here. What if what if we also put in a category to recognize people from what if we also put in a category to recognize people from the lower series? So basically people who accomplish things on outside of the Cup Series, just so that we can recognize some of the other big talents we've had. I mean we've recognized Ron Hornaday for being a big truck for winning multiple truck titles. We've recognized Richie Evans, another one of the greatest modified drivers of all time. We've also recognized we've there's also been the recognition of uh, trying to think of who else got in. Mike Stefanik. Mike Stefanik got in as well. I want to really see more of these guys get in. And a lot of these guys really would deserve it. So it's something that I really think could be something to consider. another category that I feel should also be considered for the Hall of Fame is non-drivers. Just because I feel that there's a lot of strong crew chiefs and other people who've worked in the sport that deserve recognition that they just haven't gotten yet. And like I know it's going to be a while for some of these guys. So like I really wish that we had another category for that because there's a lot of people that just are, I just think, really deserving of a spot in the Hall of Fame. So I really want to see I really want to see categories like that come up. Yeah. I don't know if there's really anything else to actually discuss for this week, but Charlotte, it's going to be fun. Unfortunately the Coke 600 is going to start at like midnight where I am because I'm going to be over in Italy. I mean, then so that's unfortunate for me. I don't want to have to be up all night watching that one over there. But we are probably still going to have a show next week, even despite that. And it's possible that my co-host will actually be on. I hope that I'm hoping that my co-host will be able to make it next week. We may change the time. We may end up changing the time around a bit, but we'll see what happens. And it's really and I think in terms of win picks, I forgot to do the win picks for the others. Trucks, I'm gonna have to go the easy out with Corey Heim. Xfinity, well, Allgaier, I mean, Allgaier, I think could easily get it done again. Cup, hmm, I'm gonna actually predict that Kyle Larson's gonna be the first driver attempting to double to win one of the races, being the being the Coke 600. I don't think he's gonna win the Indy 500. I see Pato O'Ward getting the Indy 500 this year, but I think Kyle Larson's gonna do, and this is something that none of the drivers who have attempted the double have done before. Tony Stewart, he did not win either event when he attempted the double at this. He did win the events at separate times, but not while attempting the double. I think Kyle Larson is going to make history and become the first person attempting the double to accomplish winning one of the races. I think that it really would be big to see something like that happen. Let's just hope the rain doesn't screw things over again, because we know how the rain kind of threw things off last time, so let's hope that doesn't happen. So we got to pray that Larson is able to run. I don't want that rain getting him again. So a lot coming up, a lot of great racing to see this coming week. I mean, the biggest weekend all of racing. Formula One is also headed to Monaco. Yeah, Formula One also going to Monaco. That should be a lot of fun to check out. And I think that again, I'm very excited for this weekend racing. Sadly everything's gonna be very late for me where I'm gonna be, but that's another story. But again, I know that things kind of didn't end up going the way I hoped they would tonight, but I do want to again thank everyone for coming out if you came out to watch the first episode of 500 Miles. I will be back on next week, hopefully. Even though I'm going to be on vacation, we may try doing a show next week. If not, it'll probably be 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. I just think that things are going to get rolling over time, and I really hope that they do. So that's going to be it for 500 miles this week. Thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully we will see you guys next week. So have a great night, everyone, and I will see you guys soon.